Mm-hmm. 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 I don't know how much longer you and I are going to be friends, Anthony.
And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily. I apologize for the tears in my eyes as we get going here, as I am laughing so hard I am crying, because as you guys can see, for those of you who are watching live on YouTube right now, the final two bullet points here are Warriors ? And Steph Curry, future Laker. And I ran those by Aaron before we went live.
But what you didn't do is run them by me before you asked if I would emergency fill in and come on the show with you. I have been bamboozled.
I do have to say that is Aaron, and I do have to say, Aaron, where's your mic? Is your mic there?
Is my mic not? Is it not?
No, it is. You're just like really far away from me.
Oh, all right. I'll bring it a little bit. Let's see. Now you get all the. There we go. Is that better? Now we're close.
Much better. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Now we're good. Yep. Turned it around and brought it closer to my face.
You're right, Aaron. I am being very rude. Thank you for hopping on. I was searching for Nuggets people to talk to, and everybody is ducking the smoke. It's the weirdest thing. This.
The anti-Darvin
After all of this talk about the Lakers ducking the Nuggets, now all of a sudden everybody in the greater Colorado area
is
they're
not accepting your calls?
We're talking North Dakota. We're talking both of the Dakotas.
All the Dakotas, Utah, Montana.
Nobody over there wants
those states no one cares
on the
about.
Lakers Lounge.
All those states no one cares about. Colorado, Utah, both Dakotas, Montana, Idaho is.
I would love to visit Colorado.
Have you never been?
You know what? Huh?
Have you never been?
I've never been. I'd like to go.
Interesting. I hate Denver. I mean, I also hate the Nuggets. Just the city of Denver, I hate. It's also really difficult to play there. Everybody knows about the altitude. But the other thing that people don't know about, unless you are... the airport. Which I just learned like a week ago, supposedly is haunted also, which I didn't know until like a week ago. There's a bright blue horse statue that is apparently cursed. I think whoever created the statue, as he was making the statue, he got like, I don't want to get this wrong. I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I believe as he was making the statue, he got cancer and passed away. And so his son tried to finish his project, his father's project, creating this horse statue, this blue horse statue. And I guess it fell on him and killed him also. So apparently there's a blue horse that is a cursed blue horse that is at the Denver airport. And there's something about maybe aliens underneath the airport as it relates to the Lakers and other NBA teams.
By the way, mushrooms are legal in Colorado.
Just about every damn thing's legal in Colorado. They are quite progressive in that regard.
I kind of wonder if these stories are coming from those legal mushrooms.
No, you can look it up. I didn't know this until our friend, a mutual friend of ours, Bill Ryder, was telling me about it because his brother owns a really good restaurant in Denver. So Bill's out there a lot, and another person that he and I are friends with was going out there, and he was like, "Are you aware of the cursed nature of the airport?" So I didn't know about these stories, but as it relates to the Lakers and NBA teams, the problem with Denver, aside from the altitude, is the fact that the airport is like 45 minutes away from actual Denver, the arena, the hotel where the team will stay, etc. So Denver is a miserable road trip to make, and I just hate the city. I think the city of Denver is very overrated and sucks.
All right, that's a good way to lay down the.
So now everybody's ducking you from Denver and all the neighboring states. Good.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. That's fair. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about last night or a couple nights ago. By the time you guys are listening to this in podcast form, however it is that you're taking in this podcast, hit that subscribe button. Whether you're watching live right now, scroll on down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Smash that like button, as my fellow YouTubers like to say.
There you go.
And then on if you are listening in podcast form, follow the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey. Finally, tell a friend. Tell your friends about it. Like let them all know. Let them know that this is the only Lakers podcast that starts with mushrooms and ghost stories about horses
to
preview the Lakers series against the Denver Nuggets.
I think we still need 5-star reviews, right? We don't want 5-star reviews anymore.
Oh
That's
yeah,
still important.
Send your questions in the form of a
too.
5-star review, and I'll get to them as well. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Lakers beating the Pelicans and moving on to face the Denver Nuggets, which means we are going to be talking about that matchup and our confidence levels as we inch closer towards a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals. The other subject from last night that we're going to be talking about, I'm ignoring the Eastern Conference play-in tournament.
Although as
all those teams suck.
Just as we are recording here, the Miami and 76ers game just ended, which was actually really interesting. It was horrible basketball, but it was really interesting. The game that's going on right now, the Bulls and the Hawks, that game can just be fired into the sun.
Yeah,
I mean, really, Utah and Houston, right? Like Utah and Houston from the West probably should just play that one. Like the 11 and 12 seeds in the West should probably just get that game.
So that's what we're going to be talking about. The back end of the show, if Aaron allows us, we are going to be talking about the second game from last night.
No.
In which the Sacramento Kings.
You can talk about whatever you like at your show. We shan't talk.
You're doing the Uncle Phil. We.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So
I'm gonna do the. I'm gonna do the. What is it? The Hi-Ho Silver. What is that? The what character is that? Tonto and the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
The old Lone Ranger TV show. And the Lone Ranger would say, like, "Oh, we're gonna do this," and Tonto would say, "What do you mean, we, paleface?" So I'm doing that to you. What do you mean, we?
I'm not that pale right now. I got some color to me because I've been working in the lawn.
Yeah, the weather in Texas must be nice.
It's kind of ugly and gloomy and humid, right. but anyway. So if Aaron allows us to,
it's your show. You can do whatever you want.
The Golden State Warriors potentially ending their dynasty last night. And we'll see how far into that conversation we get there. But let's start with the Lakers beating the New Orleans Pelicans. They did not wind up ducking the smoke from the Denver Nuggets, and they said so after the game. They made sure to tell everybody. I was told that I come from an insane asylum by Darvin Ham personally. So that is a.
Wait, did you want them to throw the game? I know Harrison was kind of public about it, but you were in that camp also.
They crossed the mind when they gave up when they gave up their lead. I was like, oh no, like the fake, like the Drake,
terrible.
Upset things like, oh man,
oh darn,
shoot.
Well, here's why you can't. If anything, the Warriors game, which is this, all I will say on it, and you can talk on your own show while I leave for 14 minutes later. But the Warriors game last night shows you why you can't do that, right? Clay was 0 for 10. The Kings made 1,000,000 threes. The Warriors missed. You just don't do that. In a one-game elimination, any random weirdness can happen. And you just, like you can look at the last Warriors-Lakers game at Crypto. The Warriors were, 26 for 41, I think it was, from three. Like in any one-game scenario, any nonsense randomness can happen. You could even look at the Lakers and Pelicans game yesterday. If the Pelicans had even a reasonable effort on, what was that, Sunday? Yeah, the last game of the regular season where the Lakers kicked their ass. Then if the Pelicans show up and win that game, they don't have to play against the Lakers again yesterday. And Zion got hurt yesterday. And they just basically, I mean, look. The point is, you do not risk going into a single elimination game if you can avoid it. Come what may about the Nuggets. If you're going to get out of the West, you have to beat the Nuggets anyway. So come what may.
Yeah, I'd rather see if somebody else beats the Nuggets. Like, I'd rather, like, me personally.
Yeah, well, nobody else is going to beat the Nuggets. No, they're just not. Nobody in the West is beating the Nuggets. The Lakers'
including
best chance,
the Lakers?
Including the Lakers. The Lakers' best chance, though, is now. Because as we saw yesterday, now here I am hijacking your show, but
no, go for it.
So my apologies for that. But what we saw yesterday,
it's our show. Like you are,
all right,
a part of the show. You are a big part of the show.
Yeah, so as we saw in the game yesterday or 2 nights ago, as you listen to this, LeBron was awful in the fourth quarter, and it looked to me, at least, like LeBron ran out of gas. And so if I am the Lakers, and I guess in some ways I am the Lakers, but having to play the Nuggets, if you're going to have to play the Nuggets at some point, presumably. Look, I agree with you. Like, let's see if somebody else can beat them. I don't think anybody else can beat them. But if you're going to have to play the Nuggets, presumably, one, I like the mentality of not being afraid. But more importantly, as it relates to on the court, I think the Lakers have a better chance of beating the Nuggets now as opposed to like last year in the Western Conference Finals. And the reason is LeBron is going to be as fresh as he is going to be throughout this run, however long the run is. LeBron is going to be fresher now than he is going to be in a handful of weeks. And if LeBron, the freshest LeBron gives the Lakers their only, frankly, chance to even compete with the Nuggets and hopefully beat the Nuggets. So I would rather have the Nuggets now as opposed to 3 weeks or a month from now.
Well, the thing there is like LeBron was still great last year when they played against the Nuggets.
But it's a year later.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like if you're saying if the freshness is a concern, he was not as fresh last year and he still managed to be great. The bigger factor here is like Jokic is going to be the best player in the series.
Yes.
LeBron has to be the second best player in the series.
LeBron or AD.
And well, I'm not even counting on that. I'm sorry.
I'm not counting on any of it, but like
I'm not counting on Anthony Davis. AD
was the best player when the Lakers won in the was that the finals, the West Finals? Yes, the Western Conference Finals in the bubble. AD was the best player. Outside of Joker Joker was still good, but AD was better than LeBron.
Yeah, well, and cool. Like whatever the Lakers get.
Yeah, and cool, great.
Well, because we've since seen what 8 games, 12 games in which Jokic has really like thoroughly taken it to AD since that bubble title.
He's thoroughly taken it to
everybody, but especially because the thing that Jokic does to AD that hurts the Lakers specifically is the Lakers' best or second best player who he turns into a noticeably worse version of Anthony Davis, right? And he scored a bunch in game 1 last year, but it was kind of sort of empty stuff. It's a lot of jumpers and it didn't feel all that sustainable. Like if the Lakers have a chance in this one, he's not going to outplay Jokic.
No,
but he needs to outplay Jamal Murray. Like
so I think that's the
what you absolutely need is that
I think that is
if
the
they
key.
have any chance whatsoever, AD has to outplay Jamal Murray.
So I think that is the key. What you hope for is, look, Joker's the best player in the world. He's going to be the best player in the series. What you hope is LeBron and AD. I don't care who's 2 and who's 3. You hope that both of them can slightly outplay Jamal Murray, right? So Jamal Murray is the 4th best player in the series, and this is not normal Jamal Murray. This is playoff Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray is a real MFer, man.
Right. Who turns into some
bad mother. Shut your mouth.
Right. Who turns into some like unholy amalgamation of Steph Curry and Allen Iverson in the playoffs. Yeah. So you hope that LeBron
and Jamal Murray makes him look. Because you said Allen Iverson, you brought up Allen Iverson. What I really enjoy watching about Jamal Murray when it isn't against the Lakers, he still wears baggy. Like he still wears a baggy jersey, and it's like a throwback. He's like kind of reminds me a little bit of prime Deron Williams, right?
Oh okay, I like that.
He's like this like bigger point guard who like really likes utilizing that like not taller, but like he's a thicker point guard, and he's got a nice like lateral shift to him. He hits a lot of like really cool looking jumpers off of the dribble. Again, against everybody else, I really enjoy watching him. Against the Lakers, he can kick all of the rocks. But like
I wonder about his grooming habits, but
but like the baggy
this is Lakers Lounge After Dark.
This is me being a child of the early aughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school from 2000 to 2004, and like that's everybody, that's the time that they remember most fondly, their high school years and early college years, right? That's your favorite era of music, generally speaking. That is your favorite era of entertainment, whether it's TV or whatever. And for me, it's basketball. Mm-hmm. That was the era of basketball that I most still relate to. I love the fact that superstars back then guarded superstars. You had a lot more of the one-on-one game, a mano-a-mano kind of stuff where Kobe would go up against T-Mac, and those guys would guard each other, and you would have Darren Williams guarding Chris Paul. And that
by the way, remember that was the thing at the draft. It was
who's
gonna have, do we take Darren Williams or do we take CP3?
Hey man, Darren Williams, I think at his absolute peak, it was a legit conversation. He
had a good career. He had a good career.
He fell off a cliff when he went.
I watched him score like 56 points. This is probably in 2007 or 8, something like that. I watched him score like 56 or 58 points at a California Pizza Kitchen, which was kind of with most of the Blazers staff. It was kind of wild.
Yeah. He was a special scorer.
He was a good player. I think the key to this though is, so I think that's a reasonable ask, right? Joker's going to be the best player in the series. LeBron and AD in whatever order being 2 and 3, and then Jamal Murray being right there. I think the key to it becomes Austin and D'Lo versus Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon and CP3. I think, I think that's what it is. And look, this gives me no joy in saying this. I have a basketball man crush on Michael Porter Jr. I've said I thought he was going to lead the NBA in scoring. I've had this conversation.
As long as it's a basketball man crush and not like a podcaster man crush, because that dude's show is terrible.
I don't think he's the brightest dude around. And actually, interestingly enough, Coach Pete and I have talked about this when I've said I have had a basketball man crush on him, and I thought he was going to lead the NBA in scoring at some point and possibly, be like a superstar. And he has said, like, you don't get superstars from guys that just, I'm not going to say what he said because I'm not going to like out him like that. But like intelligence matters, right? Like guys that are not predicted, that matters to being a superstar.
He is not.
He doesn't appear to be all that bright. What I am interested though in, and maybe this, I don't like saying this because again, I like him as a hooper. He's basically like a 6'10" Klay Thompson. I'm interested what happened with his brother today. I am interested if that affects him at all. And maybe he is just like not bright enough that it matters at all.
Just like water off.
He doesn't get it. But if it was my little brother that got banned from the NBA, I think that would affect me at work, right? How that manifests itself, how that appears, I don't know, but I think it is a fair question to ask.
Another person, not all that bright, Jonte, the way that you want to.
So it would not appear, but it would not appear. But yeah, I think the series comes down because like Joker's gonna get what he's gonna get. Like nothing's gonna work. The Lakers AD will try him, LeBron will try him so that AD can roam. Rui was sort of useful against him at times in the series in the Western Conference Finals last year. I really do think this comes down to Austin and D'Lo against kind of KCP, MPJ, and Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, all these series are decided at the top, right? That's why when the Lakers were in their bubble run, it always made me laugh because going into every series, it was like, yeah, the Lakers have the 2 best players in this series, but what about players 3 through 10? When's the next time that you're going to mention a Laker next time, 3 through 10? And I'd be like, who gives a fuck? The 2 best players are on one team.
But that also wasn't true. That also wasn't true.
It was also disingenuous, but it was also
KCP
like,
and Kuz and AC.
Do you not understand how basketball is played? Because remember that year, like remember at the beginning of it, was like, man, the Lakers are playing the best 8 seed ever in the Portland Trailblazers.
That's right.
Waxed.
I do remember that.
And then like
they got their one. They got the first one.
Yeah, sure, it was cute. And then
Dame running his mouth.
And then you had who was the next matchup that the Lakers faced? Was it Phoenix?
Houston.
Yeah,
it was Houston.
Oh yeah. And Houston was like all the analytics nerds.
Yeah, you don't want to see Houston.
All the analytics nerds was like, oh man, what are the Lakers going to do with all those threes? It's like, yes, we have not paid any attention to Houston in the playoffs for the last 10 years.
Who was it? Was it Chris Paul's brother? It was somebody's brother from Houston, like was in the bubble and got into it with the Lakers. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That was also
well, no, it wasn't with the Lakers. It was the guy. It was Daniel House. Remember he?
No. He got kicked out. No. He got kicked out. No. There was somebody, a relative. I think it was somebody's brother from one of the Houston guys. I want to say
Westbrook. Yeah, it was Westbrook's brother.
Oh, it was Russ. Yeah, it was Russ. It was Russ's brother that got into. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. Correct. Oh boy.
And then the Lakers traded for him. And then and then after that, right, it was the Western Conference Finals against the Nuggets, who, it was a fun series and stuff like that, but the Lakers were clearly the better team there, and then they wound up beating the shit out of the Miami Heat in the finals, right? Like that team.
I really wanted
when everybody tries to crap on that finals, run that the Lakers had. They were the best team when the league shut down. They had just beaten the Clippers. And they had just beaten Milwaukee.
Yep.
And it was like, this is the, like, I remember I did the show, and I don't remember who I was doing the show with at that time. I think that was Locked On Lakers still. And I remember saying to whoever my co-host was at the time, I was like, I'm starting to get that feeling about this team. Like, I'm starting to, I'm feeling some warm fuzzies in the old tummy. And it was just like, and then the world shut down. Yeah. and then Jen and I went to sushi, and as we were leaving sushi, Woj told us that Rudy Gobert had COVID and that the league was getting shut down. And it was great because Jen and I had just moved to Texas, and she didn't have a caseload as a physical therapist, and I didn't have any sports to talk about. Super lovely time and hours in everybody's life.
Yeah, fun.
And
I thought Kevin Durant gave me COVID.
1-year-old. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, let's we talked about the guys at the top of the series, and that's what normally decides this, right? Every single time I would wager that a team has had the two best players in a series, that team has won the series. I would go, so like you could go through the eons of history, and if one team had the two best players in the series, given how many more minutes those guys play, given how much harder those guys play, if you have the two best players in the series, it is not a possible proclamation to ask a team to overcome that. So the Lakers need to split that up. They need to, and like I say this, admitting that I thought Jamal was better.
Jamal Murray, then it's over. Yes,
Jamal Murray was better than both LeBron and AD last year. Like he was absolutely incredible.
Hence the sweep.
Right.
Yes.
And so they need to split those guys up. You need to have one of LeBron or AD, or preferably, if you really want to like mess around and win the thing, you need both of those guys to outplay Jamal Murray in this upcoming one. And then then you talk about the other guys in this one. D'Lo can't be much worse than he was in last year's matchup. The Lakers, I still think would miss Jared Vanderbilt in this matchup. It would be nice to have him. It doesn't appear like they are going to be getting him back. And then, from there, it's like, well, Austin, can he play, closer to even with his counterpart in the starting lineup? KCP was great in last year's series too. And then, Austin
was also out of gas at that point last year.
Yeah. And then you had Aaron Gordon score 30 in a game 4.
Aaron Gordon was quite good.
He ended the Lakers season basically. And there are some things that you can point to, and that is, eventually I think the plan right now is for Thursday night, Adam Mattis and I are going to get together and we're going to talk this out. It's funny because that's when we used to record Locked On NBA together. So it's kind of a throwback episode tomorrow night. So you can look forward to that. But that's essentially what, the crux of this is. I think there are some variables that have slid in the Lakers' direction here. The Nuggets don't have Bruce Brown. They don't have Jeff Green. They are going to be relying a lot more on Christian Brown, who wasn't all that impressive either this season or in last year's series. They're hoping that Peyton Watson steps up, but he's a young guy in a big spot. And if it doesn't work out there, then they have like a 7-man rotation. You're hoping that Reggie Jackson does what he did again last year. He was also really good in that series last year. But they don't have that, Sabrina, I thought, did a really good job of describing this. Bruce Brown was basically their parachute. He was their landing net in case MPJ didn't quite have it, in case Reggie Jackson didn't quite have it. He was their guy who would step up there and fill whatever gap they needed. He is not on that team anymore. And that does, I think, narrow the gap a little bit. The macro question that I have for you, Aaron, is do you think that gap was pretty sizable last year. You got swept, right? The Lakers got swept. Do you think those variables that have slid in the Lakers' direction here, like how much narrower?
Yeah.
How much more narrow is that gap now than it was last season?
I guess I'll put it this way. So if you look at the odds, I think that the Nuggets winning the series is, I think they're like, and you have fear coming up, like weird odds as a talking point. Excuse me. I think it's like, last I saw it was like -3. It had gone from like -330 to -350 for the Nuggets, which implies about a 22-ish% chance of the Lakers winning the series. That feels about right. It's maybe slightly optimistic for the Lakers, in my opinion, but
that's how it struck me. That's why I said weird odds.
I mean, it feels about right. It feels about right. Like, if you play this series 5 times, the Lakers winning one of them feels about right. Maybe a little optimistic, but about right. I do think that it will be a more competitive. Like, people make fun of Lakers fans for trumpeting how it was like the most competitive sweep ever last year. People make fun of Lakers fans.
I make fun of Raj for saying that all the time.
But I do think that this series will be. I do not think the Lakers are going to win. I do not think the Lakers have much chance of winning. I do think that this will be legitimately more competitive than last year was. In the aggregate of plus minus, will it be? I don't know, but I do think the Lakers will win a game or two this year. But I do not think the Lakers are going to win. I don't know how, unless the Lakers purple and gold colored glasses. I don't know how anybody would pick the Lakers to win, because that's just not, in my opinion, that's not reasonable. I mean, Denver has kicked the Lakers' ass. I don't know what it is now, 9 or 10 times in a row.
Yeah. This is actually an interesting way of putting it. SD Hydro writes in, if Prince and Dinwiddie wants another NBA contract, they have to outplay the bench. Contracts aside or whatever, you got to hope that the Lakers bench here can do some stuff against the Nuggets are really thin.
Yes, the Lakers definitely have a better and deeper bench. Thin. Yes.
Yeah, and
that just matters less in the playoffs.
That's what I was going to say. Is that like I'm the same person who just mocked the people who talked about depth against that Lakers team, again ignoring the depth that Lakers team had when they won the championship in 20. But I do think though that, like, because the issue that the Lakers ran into last year was that they didn't like blow the doors off of the Nuggets when Jokic sat. And in fact, I think the Nuggets actually played them even when Jokic was off of the floor. And if that's what you're doing, if the best player in the world, if the best human being walking planet Earth who at basketball sits and you don't beat the shit out of the team that he plays for, you're in trouble. Yeah, it's over. It's over, right? Yeah. And again, that is not groundbreaking analysis on my part.
There you go.
That has been the case.
That's forever. Why you make the medium bucks.
If Michael Jordan sat down and you didn't beat the brakes off of the Bulls when he sat down, guess what was happening when he came back in? Same goes for prime LeBron, prime whoever. The Lakers, it's funny. An organization that I criticize a lot for not kind of focusing on the margins enough has to beat this Denver Nuggets team in the margins, because the big stones, right? The bricks that get held up by the mortar, those are very much in favor of the Nuggets going into this one. And I thought it was great to see that those mortar players that the Lakers have helped keep the Lakers afloat when AD played pretty bad, basically for the vast majority of yesterday's game.
Gabe was good 2 nights. No, people are listening to this in podcast land tomorrow. Gabe was good 2 nights ago, to your point.
Yeah.
I thought Gabe was good.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be a factor in this series. I think he's gotten better. Now he needs to do something offensively, and that I thought, like, it's great to be able to be a pretty good defender or to be good enough that people are willing to be patient.
He made some shots Tuesday night.
Yeah, I know, and but he's going to need to do probably more than that.
because he was shooting 9%, I believe it was, coming into the game from 3.
I think because those shots don't actually count.
Right.
Towards the
None of the
season
stats count. That's right. Yes. That never
shooting.
actually happened. Have you tried? We had this conversation. Have you ever tried to find play-in stats? And we're like, go on the internet and try to find play-in stats. You can't. They don't exist. Play-in stats don't exist.
Which is too bad.
Which is interesting because Cat and Trae Young are like the play-in MVPs of all time.
I saw somebody call this tournament the Trae-in tournament.
That's funny. The Trae-in tournament is funny. The Hawks and Wolves Invitational.
We have to let you go here in a second. And all I'm asking, Aaron, is for you to humor me for this. Oh, let's do predictions because you and I aren't going to talk before the series gets underway. Let's do predictions. I'll go on the record with mine. What is your prediction for the series?
I don't know. I'm going back and forth between 4-1 and 4-2 Nuggets.
Yeah, I think 4-2 in favor of the Nuggets. There is a path, right? I think there is. I'm going to be honest. Last year, I saw no path for the Lakers. I didn't see a path for the Lakers, and the one that they might have been able to traverse to win the series got squashed immediately when they lost game 1.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty similar situation here. The path is a little wider this time. I think there's a little bit clearer of a path for the Lakers to be able to follow here. They still need to be super disciplined and actually and definitely execute that path. But it does start with winning game 1. Like you got to take game 1.
So I think that's out. I think 2 and 3 are the crucial games because I think game 1 is just. I think that's just. Well, no, that's a bridge too far for me.
3 and 4, you have to win. Like 3,
I think
have
2,
to win your home game.
I think 2 is the one that matters, and here's why I say 2 and 3 because I do not think the Lakers are going to win game 1. So if the Lakers can be competitive and make it seem like Denver is in for a fight, maybe even win game 2, then game 3 becomes the thing. So I think it's really 2 and 3 that will define the series because I don't think the Lakers are going to win. It would surprise me if the Lakers are even competitive in game 1, unfortunately. Now, there's a lot of rest. Like this is time for LeBron and AD to rest. But the big bad wolf Joker is, I just don't think the Lakers are going to win in game 1. But I do think I do think if the Lakers can win game 2, if the Lakers don't win game 1, if the Lakers can win game 2, I think we have the makings of a series, and then I think game 3 decides everything.
Well, then I hope that if they lose game 1, I hope they get blown out so that LeBron and AD get to rest for game 1 because you need them to be super fresh for game 2.
As you hope,
as fresh as they would be for game 1. All right, we have maybe 5, 7-ish minutes. Do I got that from you?
Yeah. You good? Yeah, come on
right.
with it.
Can we talk?
You can do whatever you want. It's your show. You are the master of your domain, brother. No, you're the master of your domain.
It is our show, and I am really excited what is going to be on the table for our show this summer.
This is going to be very bad podcasting, but go ahead.
He's looking at his phone.
Yeah, both of them, in fact. I actually wanted to see what time it was so I could see if I could lie to you and tell you that I have to go earlier than I said originally. No, you're good. Come on.
All right. So the Kings beat the brakes off the Warriors last night.
That's how we're starting this? That's just going to soften me up to get me to participate in this? Okay.
So the the Kings beat the brakes off of the Warriors last night.
Anthony, thank you for having me on for the last time. I appreciate
Clay
you.
Goes 0 for the play-in. You have Draymond. They made too much out of it, but he kind of wrapped up. I think it was Trey Lyles at the end of that game. Had it been Sabonis
anymore, so I don't know.
I think Sabonis probably would have got a shot in the groinish area had Draymond been closer to him. But my question is like not even about that game specifically because, like you said, like it was a variance game. You're not getting like Klay Thompson going 0 for 10. He was like mediocre to bad this year in terms as an NBA
You know what
player?
though? I mean,
Let alone
he
as like
wasn't.
Klay Thompson.
He wasn't. There it is. He wasn't good as Klay Thompson. He led the NBA in free throw percentage. He shot 39% from 3 on 9 threes a game, scored 18 points. He can't guard anymore, but he's still a useful kind of good NBA player. He's just not Klay Thompson anymore.
But he's not 0 for 10.
No,
is my larger point,
Yes.
And like you could play that game 100 times and he's probably not going over 10 in any more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And my first takeaway there, because he gets benched down the stretch of that one, just like with BI, right? BI got stretched in the Pelicans game. If you bench a guy like that, you better win, because now you're risking losing that player. And BI didn't even talk to the media after the game.
And neither did Klay. I mean, he did today he did yesterday as he listened to this for exit interviews. But Klay dressed quickly and left, much like BI.
I don't blame either of them. And so Aaron, where do the Warriors go? Like I was racking my brain because I was on with Rome in the coach's den playback. Mm-hmm. It was really fun. That whole group there is always a blast. But I was racking my brain as that game was coming to a close. Like what the Warriors do here. You have Chris Paul's non-guaranteed contract, which is an asset, right? That they'll be able to turn into something before the league year changes over.
Maybe
depending on his guarantee date.
Yeah, maybe. No. Well, here's the problem. No, this is an important part. And here I am turning into Eric Pincus and Larry Kuhn CBA nerd, but they can only turn him into something if they guarantee whichever portion of his contract is necessary to go get somebody. And by the way, that's what happened last year for him to be traded to the Wizards and then to the Warriors, is he had to have his contract guaranteed for the Bradley Beal part, and then more for the Jordan Poole part. Where do the Warriors go from here? They're kind of stuck.
They just extended Steve Kerr. They just extended Draymond Green.
I don't want to talk about Steve Kerr. That is going to make
Curry is making $52 million next year.
Steph Curry could be the highest paid player in the league, and he's worth it. Don't care. Put that aside.
No, I'm just saying, like,
yes. So the real
my point is that, like, it's you can't, like, I saw people like, oh, just tear it down. You can't.
No, you also don't.
Down?
No, you also Steph. Don't. You also don't. Yeah, I mean, you could, but you don't.
Like, you can't just bottom out with Steph Curry on your roster.
Correct. I mean, Steph Curry is. I think what we saw this year, and it's this year that is different as opposed to last year, and certainly a couple of years ago, in the 2022 playoff run that the Warriors won, Steph Curry was the best player in the world. And the Lakers have seen some of this with LeBron also. The difference between LeBron in that case, even though AD is significantly better than anybody else the Warriors have, and Steph, the difference from going from the best player in the world, or the first or second or third best player in the world, to the 6th or 8th or 10th, which is probably where both LeBron and Steph are now. The difference is massive. The difference is massive. Just what those guys are able to make up for the deficiencies on the rest of the roster as the best player in the world or the second best player in the world compared to the 8th best player in the world is such a difference. So I think what the Warriors actually do is Chris Paul's going to go. That's $30 million you shave there. And I think Klay probably comes back for $18 million, $20 million, somewhere in there. That gets the Warriors under the tax, which gives them the full mid-level. But look, the West, as we've seen, the problem for the Warriors is with all the nonsense and the foolishness from Draymond and him being suspended and missing 20 games, the Warriors were so much better than everyone else that they could make up for those things. Or Andrew Wiggins not starting the year well, Klay didn't start the year well. Now the Warriors are just pretty good. And if you're pretty good, you can't have all the foolishness. Yeah. So I think Klay comes back for, whatever, half, maybe a little less than half of what he makes now.
You think he
where's Klay going to go?
Signs up for that?
Where's Klay going to go? Does Klay want to go? Let's say the Warriors offer him $20 million. Would he rather go make $26 million in Orlando. Like, okay, man. No, and if he does, no, by the way, if he does, so be it. Like, I stay out of everybody's
Given that he was
pockets and stay out of
benched
everybody's
for
relationship.
portions of this year and has had this contract dispute as long as he has.
He's not that good anymore. He's not Klay Thompson anymore.
Did you also see the clip of Steph being asked about Steph or about Klay and Draymond?
Yep.
Playing together or whatever, and he was like, "I just want to win." He didn't say that he needs to play with those guys. That struck me.
He did not.
That really stuck out to me.
So here's my very educated guess on it. I'll say that this is my very educated. Like Draymond, we can put aside because he's signed and whatever.
Yeah, you see.
As it relates to Klay, I'll say my very educated guess on it is, I think it is important to Steph that the Warriors do right by Klay, which means offer him something reasonable. Do not embarrass him. And if he then chooses something else, so be it. But I think just for basketball, look, yes, I grew up a Warriors fan. It's a team of my youth, all this kind of shit. But I just think for basketball and just like basketball fans in general, I think if any of these three, Steph, Klay, and Draymond, end up playing on another team, it's just kind of like it just feels wrong and kind of gross. So
you're saying you aren't okay with the Lakers potentially trading for Steph?
I mean, I'm sure. Like I don't know how, but sure.
Can I ask you that?
Actually, what about what you're going to get me and the Lakers fined?
No. I want to. Can I ask you this about like as a basketball fan, because like not talking about like the Lakers doing this or whatever, but like this is where it gets tricky, right? Because you just said, those guys playing on a different team would feel gross. And the first time
like
that
Jordan
player goes and plays
and like
on the
Hakeem on the Raptors, and like just no.
Yeah.
Like if Dirk had gone somewhere else,
Russell
it's
Westbrook
weird
on the Lakers.
It's weird, right? Yeah. Don't you? It's weird, and he doesn't have this kind of history with that organization. But like, didn't it feel a little off seeing Dame with Milwaukee, like in something other than a Blazers? It just feels off.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. You're closer to them than to that team than I am.
To which team?
It would certainly like like that's the team of your youth, right? That's what you always talk about. Like that is
the only team I care about other than the Lakers. Yes.
I just don't. Maybe you bring back Klay. I think Klay has probably played to probably like a $17 million player this year.
Yeah, I said 18 or 20, sure.
And so like if you slightly overpay him, then okay. Maybe Kuminga takes a leap next year and actually gets to play.
I mean, the only hope they have is that the four young guys, Kuminga, Moody, Trace Jackson Davis, who was terrible on Tuesday night, and Podziemski. Yeah, you hope that they make some sort of move forward, and then if Klay makes half of what he makes now and Chris Paul is gone, then you get the full mid-level. And there are guys that are useful at the full mid-level. But is the dynasty over? I will never say the dynasty is over because they still have 30, right? And anytime you have Steph Curry, like through Steph, he's like LeBron. It's him and LeBron. Through Steph Curry, I'm not a religious man, but right, it's like through Christ, all things are possible. Through 30, all things are possible. Through LeBron, all things are possible. Even as old men as they are now, they seem pretty far away from contention, and there's not much they can do.
And that's the part. Is like, when does Steph get sick of that? When does just like people are like, if I have to deal with all the questions about like when does LeBron get sick of being mediocre with the Lakers, you can bet your ass I'm going to ask that same question about Steph Curry
but there's a difference though. And the difference is LeBron has already moved around a bunch. Like if LeBron had stayed with the Cavs his entire career, I think that's a different question.
Well, no, but like the crux of the question, the reason people are asking is because like LeBron has the leverage to be able to go, right? Like LeBron's still a great player, whether we consider him a top 10 whatever player.
Oh, he's a
he
top
would
10 player.
immediately go somewhere
Absolutely.
else and help that team win championships too, or
Possibly, yeah,
contend for
absolutely.
championships too. So like,
Absolutely.
same
Absolutely.
thing can be said about Steph, right? Like, at what point does he kind of look around and say like, and that was why that response. Now, as people are pointing out in the comments, right? You know, that that apparently he said that he would struggle to not play with those guys. I can't find the comment. I
Yeah, he
apologize
did
to
say,
whoever
yeah.
put that. So like that needs to be pointed out as well. But like that moment, you know, that felt like a really honest moment. You know, he said that on the heels of saying he worked his hardest to be his readiest this season, and he still looked gassed yesterday. You
Yeah,
know,
he ain't
yeah,
at. And to be fair, he's looked gas since the All-Star break, basically.
yeah,
Now, how
and
much
so
of that
like,
is him having to carry so much because they didn't have anybody else on the ball that could create anything, and all the Draymond foolishness, you know, that's going to be mentally taxing and all that. So Warriors fans would tell you, and maybe Steph would tell you also, like at some point this just isn't going to be a thing anymore, right? Like at some point it's over, and maybe that's
everything ends.
now. Yeah, and maybe that's now.
Just like, you know, you and me as a combination because of the segment.
It
Everything
has
comes
ended,
to an
right? So
end.
this is it. This is it. And so I think it's an interesting question for Warriors fans, Warriors ownership, for Steph, for Clay, for Draymond, for Steve Kerr, who should have been fired 8 years ago, for
I will
like,
never.
what is the value? What is
that you like follow the Warriors in the same way that you like get annoyed at me for following the Lakers?
No. I don't get
Same,
annoyed at you
same
at it. I
conversation.
follow the Lakers the same way. I just can't say those things publicly.
That's fair.
I get infuriated by Lakers shit too. I just can't say
Yeah.
those things. What is the value of and this is a question that Lakers fans, right, like kind of will be familiar with, is what is the value in just like riding it out, right? With Kobe, like the Lakers gave Kobe 2 years, 50 million. He wasn't worth anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But to say like he's just going to be a lifetime Laker, we did all this with you and we're going to ride it out. Like this isn't going to be great on the court anymore. But because of what Kobe did for the Lakers organization, because what Steph and Clay and Draymond have done,
But the difference is like,
is there value in just riding it out?
championships those last 2 years.
Kobe
Steph
what?
can. Kobe couldn't
Yeah.
win championships
I mean,
those
maybe
last
this
2
is the
years.
question for Steph, right? You know, whatever, 3 or 4 years from now when he's not Steph anymore, because Kobe at the end wasn't Kobe anymore. Kobe obviously had, I mean, it's actually probably a closer comparison to Clay, right? Because Clay had the injury, like Kobe the Achilles, and like, so Clay is a shell of himself and not that guy anymore. Like Kobe wasn't at the end. But I think there's just something, especially in the era we're in now, where that just doesn't happen anymore, right? You don't have one Hall of Fame level player stick with a team for their whole career, much less 3 of them that kind of did it together.
Yeah.
So as the team of, like, I look, of course, I want, if it's not the Lakers, I want the Warriors to win championships. But if that is probably not in the cards,
you're cool with riding it out.
Would I rather watch Steph and Clay and Draymond like ride off into the sunset together, or maybe do something to win 3 more games one season, right? And I think it's a fair question to ask.
Well,
The Warriors are pretty stuck. Is the answer. Yep.
Would you flip like Pods and Paul to go out and get, you know, or whether it's, you know, Trace Jackson Davis or whoever it is, like, would you be willing? Because that's the thing that put them in this predicament in the first place, right? Is the unwillingness to, how long it took them to trade Wiseman.
Yeah,
their unwillingness to trade Kuminga.
Missing in drafting him instead of Halliburton.
Like that's the grander lesson here. Like I saw people, you know, I know that you aren't a fan of Kerr's coaching or whatever, and that's fine. Like you know, somebody who has been waiting for Darvin to be fired all year, I can't criticize somebody else for not liking.
Hold on, no. This is not this year. This is 8 years for me with Kerr.
Okay, but I
got history with this.
Like for all of the other things, like I did listen to like chunks of Nick Wright, and he put on a master class last night with Warriors fans. That was really entertaining
or something. Yeah.
As he was like whispering because his family was asleep in the next room. Get thicker walls, man. Like let it rip. I know Nick can afford them.
No, they just did a him and wifey just last weekend. They did a whatever it is, recommitment ceremony or whatever.
Oh,
I don't know.
really?
They got like sort of married again. Yeah, in Kansas City last
He's
weekend.
a fascinating dude. Like he's like way up
one
there
word,
on
one word
the
for
list
it.
of guys I would
it.
like to have on the I would like to have on the pod.
One
Do
word
you want
for
him
it.
to be on the pod with us? Like you, me, and him just yucking it up.
I don't know how I can ban myself again from the show after I've already said this was my last appearance. I don't know how I can double down on that. This is really my last appearance.
But for everything that like people want to point to, whether it's Clay taking a step back, Draymond being like addicted to hitting dudes in the nuts, whether it's Kuminga not stepping up or Wiggins falling back to Minnesota Wiggins, like whatever factor.
Hold on, Minnesota Wiggins would have been a breath of fresh air. The dude scored 13. He averaged 13 points a game.
I thought he was going to take a family leave during yesterday's game. That's all that yesterday was missing. But so like the thing that put the Warriors in the predicament that they're at right now, just like we saw a lesser version of it this season, you cannot miss on top 5 picks. You can't.
Correct.
Like you do that, and even an organization heralded by Steph Curry is going to struggle to make up for that. Just like this year, the Lakers really struggled to make up for the fact, asset-wise, that their first-round draft pick, Jalen Hood-Schifino, was essentially a toss-in to any of these picks. He was not an asset this season.
Well, especially when you go all in as excuse me, as the Warriors and Lakers have.
Yeah.
Which means you don't often have picks, certainly lottery picks, but often you don't even have your first round picks.
That was the thing that made him so terrifying, was the fact that like it was like, oh my God, they just won a championship and they have a top 2 pick. Like it felt like KD all over again. It was just,
you know what it felt like to me.
You talk about fumbling a bag.
It felt like the Spurs. It felt like the Spurs, right? Like where they were damn good. David Robinson gets hurt and misses an entire year, so they're terrible, and they win the lottery, get the first pick, and then get Tim Duncan. So yeah, they blew it and still won a championship after it, and then had the 7th pick, and with the Wiggins trade and D'Lo, blah 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 blah. But Kuminga's a good draft pick. His 7th pick, that's just fine. But
you'd have liked to get a little bit more out of him, but I don't, like you saying, I don't know how much of that is Kerr and how much of that is Kuminga.
It's all Kerr.
Kuminga.
I mean, look, the only dude after that, Franz Wagner, was picked after. He was the next pick, so he's probably better. But it was Josh Giddey before him. He's better than Josh Giddey. So yeah, the OKC can't wait to get rid of Josh Giddey. In any event, yes,
for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, boy. I guess my overall thing, I think Clay will be back. The Warriors are pretty stuck. I do think they will probably try to go big game hunting again. Who that will be, who knows? But the NBA always surprises us, and superstars always become available that we don't expect. I think the Warriors will try to be in on those conversations. I don't view them as title contenders anytime in the near future, but I do not write anything off because 30.
I'd agree with all of that. I didn't consider them a title contender this year. I think that's where you and I kind of disagreed going into the season. You had them in that tier too, but look, the Lakers weren't there either. So
I had the Lakers and I had the Lakers, Warriors, and Suns in the same tier.
Yeah, and they wound up being there just in a very different way.
How prescient of me.
All right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. I have been doing this thing lately where I have been splitting up for the podcast audience. I've been splitting up these episodes into 2 parts when they go longer than like 50 minutes and certainly longer than that. I've liked the returns on that to this point. I would like some feedback on what you think about that decision. To me, I just think with like our short attention spans, people aren't listening to the last 20 minutes of an episode anyway. So this is a way to help people listen to that last chunk of it as well and break it up as in however they feel like doing so. So I think I'm going to continue doing that for the time being. But I am curious what you guys think about that. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm wearing this
California Redwoods. Okay, I like that.
It's a professional lacrosse team that reached out to me. They DM'd me. They said, "Hey, we want to send you some merch. If you want to wear it on the show, cool. If you don't want to wear it on the show, cool." They sent me a hoodie that I've worn on the show before as well. The reason I say all of this, one, to shout them out, as I promised them I would. But for anybody who has merch or whatever, who you want me to wear it, you want it in the background, whatever, hit me up. My DMs are open. You can email me. I think I have my email there in my link tree as well. So hit me up there as well. I know I'm hoping to talk to Javi pretty soon.
Yeah, there you go.
Getting some merch going for this show so that you guys could wear that stuff as well.
There you go.
So we can get that off of the ground.
Shout out Golden Knight Graphics.
I'm just kind of throwing out there as a possibility. And yeah, Aaron, I greatly appreciate you hopping on here. Not only on short notice, but also to talk about those Golden State Warriors. And I thought it was a really good segment. I thought it was a really fun conversation that may have ended our friendship. If that is the case,
I hate everything and I want to go home.
Have a great rest of your evening, everybody.
Make
somebody else's. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.